Hello friends, it's the beginning of December and I decided I'd just change it up a little bit, throw out a video newsletter instead of the traditional textual communication with links and photos and other stuff that has to be pulled together. A lot has happened since the last newsletter, which was I think in June. Good things first. We finally got our synchronization rights to Morton Feldman's gorgeous Rothko Chapel so that we could make Still Together, the film, available on our platform, 10K Creators, which I'll say a little bit more about later. So that happened, which allowed us to move forward with that film distribution and the two others, so we could get them all up there at the same time, and that finally did happen. And along with the films themselves are some supplementary materials which you just get automatically when you want to go and download that film for a kind of pay what you can, very, I don't know, democratic, accessible, open way of making some dance available to you right on your computer or your phone or wherever you are. So check that out. Like I said, it's a low risk. The bar is low. If you don't know if you like dance films or if you will like my dance films, and you just want to check it out, the bar is pretty low. But the stakes are high because each film is connected with a partner or really a beneficiary. I mean, there's not that much partnership going on. I'm just trying to create some benefit for folks. So each film has a charitable organization that a percentage of the download fees will just be funneled to at the end of the year, that's kind of thematically connected. So the organizations are Zen Mountain Monastery, where I happen to live and train, and this is where this is. And then the ALS Therapies Development Institute, which is a very important organization, trying to find ways to cure ALS and also to just slow down the progress of the disease. There's some pretty good trial drugs that are out there that may even have passed their trials by now. That helped. I know a couple of folks, one of whom those really seem to have helped quite a lot, and I'll say more about that later too. So ALS Therapies Development Institute, and then Circle of Friends for the Dying, which just, I mean, like, let's normalize talking about how this life ends for literally everybody. So they do that, and they help people prepare for death, talk about death, lots and lots of services, and they are currently fundraising and developing and building a physical space, a hospice space in Kingston, New York, which I think is an amazing effort, and they've been working really hard on it for a really long time. And so we like to kind of help whatever like little drops in their bucket that we can do. So those donations are related to a film called Death Pushes Life, which is a very short film, the shortest of the three, I think, that I made in the spring. And then there's Coming and Going, which is the one that sends a little helpful infusion to ALS TDI, which I made with help from my dear friend and father figure, John Holland, who sadly and inevitably and beautifully and tranquilly, more or less, passed from this life the day before Thanksgiving. And I had the extreme fortune doesn't sound like the right word, but certainly privilege and kind of responsibility-ish, and just I received a benefit in my life and my training and practice by being there with his son and another friend at the time of his passing. And so that is something, his passing in particular, and life and death in general, that has been on my mind pretty much this whole year. I feel like this has been the year of really getting quite real and intimate with birth and death, mostly the death end of that in terms of what I've actually experienced with people. Another dear friend who helped me with the movement tutorial that comes with the Coming and Going film. It's one of the supplemental materials. Mary Bosikowski also had ALS and also passed earlier this year. And so, and then currently, here we are at the monastery, Zen Mountain Monastery, where several of our monastics, those who have taken life vows, everybody ages, and a few of them are of a certain age now where the notion of death is no longer just a notion out here, but is actually presently happening. And in particular for one of them, which just, all day, every day lately is sort of about, in my mind, like this is just me, but all day, every day in some way is about him and that process, and what I can do to be helpful to those who are most involved in that, or who are gonna, his family and the other monastics here. And there's a lot that goes on around someone who is at that phase of their existence. And quite often, I think, let's just say in my family, in my life, that part of existence was not like sterilized, but it often ended up being pretty removed from the norm. And folks were in a nursing home or in hospital, with a few exceptions, but and children were maybe not encouraged to be, like, the family didn't like gather around the deathbed and do particular caregiving things in many of those situations. And I know I think in this country that's pretty normal. Like, death is a little less, we would like to clean it up and make it a little removed. And well, in my experience, it turns out that that's not actually the best feeling way to do it. It's really been important, I think, for me, and I think from what I could tell, the people who I've been with in some part of their dying process, that like making it normal, making it at home, making it with people is just really healthy, is really good. And grieving, and people grieve in all kinds of different ways. One of the things I do is go in a room and dance my face off, and other people do other things, and learning how it is that we approach grief in such times it's really important, because there's always little griefs and little losses all the time. And if we aren't sure how we best process that for ourselves, I think maybe we end up holding all of that in, and it's gonna come out some way. And it doesn't honor, holding it back and pretending it's not happening, or pretending that you're okay, or just glossing over it. It doesn't honor the amazing thing that is happening. When someone dies, or when something, when anything dies, a person or anything else, or when you lose something, or when you don't get what you want, like those moments of grief, they're also kind of amazing. Like you can survive those, and then someday there'll be something that you don't survive, and you have to go through the process. And it looks like hard work. So I want to be here for that, for people. Okay, so I've talked about death a lot. That's enough. And our monastic here is alive as yet. So he's just doing that work. He's working really hard. So things that we're working on, we're still, I say we, meaning just me and Leanne, basically Leanne Kowalski, we are still nudging towards another edit of Coming and Going, which involves some footage that we did, that we shot after the part that John Holland was actually featured in, where he and I were moving together. There's another section, and we're, we need to get some time and some resources to put behind that next cut of that. So, before the end of the year, here it is, it's December, those year-end contributions. If you want to support our efforts towards making that fuller version of that film, and getting that edit produced, you can throw a little love towards Locust Barsha Dance Projects and on our fiscal sponsor page, Fractured Atlas, and I'll throw that link in at the end. And also just want to really celebrate, this year has been possible in terms of the dance work, majorly, in large part, however we say that, because of Matthew Hegum, founder and CEO of 10K Creators. That's the platform where these dance films and all the other materials are actually being distributed. That's where you kind of go if you want to download them. And that is something to celebrate, that relationship and what he's been trying to do with different artists. And it's not easy. It's really hard to start an organization like that, and to keep it going, and to know how best to help all these different kinds of artists. And so just, want to really throw some love his way, and encourage you to check out him and what he's doing on, all the different places that one can do that. Instagram, such and such, 10kcreators.com. That's Matthew Hegum, and all of this definitely would not be happening without him. So that's great. And okay, so the other thing that happened since June is, this was a planned thing, but it wasn't planned to happen now, because none of us knew that John would pass now. But I am completely retired / aka unemployed, and moving tenderly and slowly, and with some really great holding and advice from the Sangha here, the monastic council in particular, moving towards monastic training. So that's still happening, and that's basically that's the major part of what I'm doing personally. Locust Barsha still exists. It's my creative practice is an enormous part to me of what I'm doing here in terms of training and practice, and Zen practice. This is Zen monastery, if I didn't say that before. And I know there are some new people on this email list, so backstory, I live in a Zen monastery, and I'm trying to inch my way into monastic training after I've been practicing here for for a long time, like 16 years. So yeah, that is happening, and kind of getting the questions about that getting ever and ever more real. Like, yeah, that's because when you get through that training, which has some different phases, those are life vows. That's basically, you're saying, like, this is what I'm doing, and I'm trusting my life and my practice to this group of people, and to these vows that I'm taking. So yeah, that's happening. And we have such a beautiful performance space here. It's really like joy to do my movement practice in this enormous space. I feel like just so happy when I go in there and move. And every now and then, on like a Sunday afternoon or a Monday, I can invite people to join me. And so I hope to be doing a little bit more of that soon when things calm down a tiny bit. I did it once. Well, maybe there were actually a couple of times last the last half of the year that we did that, and then being able to lead some body practice during the spring here was just great. Was able to actually teach a straight up dance class to the residents in the monastery and people who were coming in during that period. And I set an older piece on, or a section of a piece on them, and so just being able to find the ways that what I do as an artist dovetails and supports what I'm trying to do as a human being. It feels really lovely to be able to do that here, and so I look forward to sharing more of that with you in films, little dance films, which is what I'm doing. That's kind of, I'm not doing live performance right now. I can't produce seasons, I can't do shows. That's not probably gonna happen unless it's very spontaneous and very much here, like you would have to be in Mount Trumper, New York to know about it. But I do have a couple of ideas brewing for new dance on film, dance for camera, dance film, however you want to say that, work. And I've been doing a lot of vocal work too, which I did some of that in Death Pushes Life. So check that out. Like, yes, that's me doing that soundtrack. But I'm really interested in the movement of the voice and micro movement, which was I've been fascinated with that for a long time, a few years now, and just very simple movement practices that bring us into sort of like, you can't, if you're only doing small things, you kind of can't help but notice every detail about them and about what goes on in your mind and everywhere while you're doing those. So I'm interested in that, and I'm also interested in really kind of silly, like big, big movement dance. Like I've been playing around to Rufus Wainwright's cover of Joni Mitchell's All I Want, and it's just so big and just kind of bringing in some like like roots of like what I remember from like jazz dance classes when I was in high school and college, which is so different from what I've been doing for a while. So, but yeah, like joy, so in addition to the, let's be minimal, let's study detail, let's think about life and death all the time. Yeah, just some really like, let's just dance for joy. So I will leave you with that, with dancing for joy as we end 2023, a year of, oh my God, so much of everything. And I hope that that the year has been good for you, good in whatever way that means. I mean, you really have to have maybe some shit things have to happen also to have a good year. I don't know. But I leave you with dancing for joy. And hey, when you download the films, please use all the stuff that comes with them. And if you feel like you can, I would love to see video or hear comments from anybody who's testing out the movement prompts in the studio, or just following up with discussions with the questions. It's fun to watch short films together with friends who care about dance, because then you can talk about them and then you can email the person who made them, and we can have a conversation. And that would be great. And my email is always there in the download instructions when you go to 10K Creators and check out a film. Okay, all right, dance for joy. Bye. Lots of love.